Ministry seeks educational reform. Dolores Umbridge appointed first ever High Inquisitor. High Inquisitor? What does that mean? In a surprise move last night, the Ministry of Magic passed new legislation, giving itself an unprecedented level of control at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. The Minister has been growing uneasy about goings-on at Hogwarts for some time, said Junior Assistant to the Minister, Percy Weasley. He is now responding to concerns voiced by anxious parents who feel the school may be moving in a direction they do not approve. This is not the first time in recent weeks Fudge has used new laws to effect improvements at the Wizarding School. As recently as August 30th, Educational Decree 22 was passed to ensure that, in the event of the current headmaster being unable to provide a candidate for a teaching post, the ministry should select an appropriate person. That's how Dolores Umbridge came to be appointed to the teaching staff at Hogwarts, said Weasley last night. Dumbledore couldn't find anyone, so the minister put in Umbridge, and of course she's been an immediate success. She's been a what? Wait, there's more. An immediate success, totally revolutionizing the teaching of defense against the dark arts and providing the minister with on-the-ground feedback about what's really happening at Hogwarts. It is this last function that the ministry has now formalized with the passing of Educational Decree 23, which creates the new position of Hogwarts High Inquisitor. This is an exciting new phase in the minister's plan to get to grips with what some are calling the falling standards at Hogwarts, said Weasley. The Inquisitor will have powers to inspect her fellow educators and make sure that they are coming up to scratch. Professor Umbridge has been offered this position in addition to her own teaching post, and we are delighted to say that she has accepted. The Minister's new moves have received enthusiastic support from parents of students at Hogwarts. I feel much easier in my mind now that I know that Dumbledore is being subjected to fair and objective evaluation, said Mr. Lucius Malfoy, 41, speaking from his Wiltshire mansion last night. Many of us with our children's best interest at heart have been concerned about some of Dumbledore's eccentric decisions in the last few years, and will be glad to know that the Ministry is keeping an eye on the situation. Among those eccentric decisions are undoubtedly the controversial staff appointments previously described in this newspaper, which have included the hiring of werewolf Remus Lupin, half-giant Rubeus Hagrid, and delusional ex-Auror Mad-Eye Moody. Rumours abound, of course, that Albus Dumbledore, once Supreme Mugwump of the International Confederation of Wizards and Chief Warlock of the Wizengamot, is no longer up to the task of managing the prestigious school of Hogwarts. I think the appointment of the Inquisitor is a first step toward ensuring that Hogwarts has a headmaster in whom we can all repose confidence, said a Ministry insider last night. Wizengamot elders Griselda Marchbanks and Tiberius Ogden have resigned in protest at the introduction of the post of Inquisitor to Hogwarts. Hogwarts is a school, not an outpost of Cornelius Fudge's office, said Madame Marchbanks. This is a further disgusting attempt to discredit Albus Dumbledore. For a full account of Madame Marchbanks' alleged links to subversive goblin groups, turn to page 17. So now we know how we ended up with Umbridge. Fudge passed this educational decree and forced her on us, and now he's given her the power to inspect other teachers. I can't believe this. It's outrageous. I know it is. Oh, I can't wait to see McGonagall inspected. Umbridge won't know what's hit her. Well, come on, we'd better get going. If she's inspecting Binns's class, we don't want to be late. I have awarded you the grades you would have received if you presented this work in your OWL. This should give you a realistic idea of what to expect in your examination. The general standard of this homework was abysmal. Most of you would have failed had this been your examination. I expect to see a great deal more effort for this week's essay on the various varieties of venom antidotes. Or I shall have to start handing out detentions to those dunces who get D's. Some people got D's. Ha! Well, that wasn't as bad as last week, was it? And the homework didn't go too badly either, did it? I mean, all right, I didn't expect the top grade, not if he's marking to OWL standard. But to pass is quite encouraging at this stage, wouldn't you say? Of course, a lot can happen between now and the exam. We've got plenty of time to improve. But the grades we're getting now are a sort of baseline, aren't they? Something we can build on. Obviously, I'd have been thrilled if I'd gotten an O. Hermione, if you want to know what grades we got, ask. I didn't mean... Well, if you want to tell me. I got a P. Happy? Well, that's nothing to be ashamed of. Nothing wrong with a good, healthy P. But doesn't P stand for poor? Yeah, still better than D, isn't it? Dreadful. So, top grade's O for outstanding. And then there's A. No, E. E for exceeds expectations. And I've always thought Fred and I should have got an E in everything because we exceeded expectations just by turning up for the exams. So, after E, it's A for acceptable, and that's the last pass grade, isn't it? Yep. Then you get P for poor, and D for dreadful. And then T. T? Even lower than a D? What on earth does that stand for? Troll. You not had an inspected lesson yet? No. Have you? Just now, before lunch. Charms. What was it like? Not that bad. Umbridge just lurked in the corner making notes on a clipboard. Do you know what Flitwick's like? He treated her like a guest. Didn't seem to bother him at all. She didn't say much. Asked Alicia a couple of questions about what the classes are normally like. Alicia told her they were really good. That was it. I can't see old Flitwick getting marked down. He usually gets everyone through their exams all right. Who have you got this afternoon? Trelawney. A T if ever I saw one. And Umbridge herself. Well, be a good boy and keep your temper with Umbridge today. Angelina will do her nut if you miss any more Quidditch practices. Good afternoon, Professor Trelawney. You received my note, I trust, giving the time and date of your inspection? We shall be continuing our study of prophetic dreams today. Divide into pairs, please, and interpret each other's latest nighttime visions with the aid of the oracle. Think of a dream, quick, in case the old toad comes our way. I did it last time. It's your turn, you tell me one. Oh, I don't know. Let's say I dreamed I was drowning Snape in my cauldron. Yeah, that'll do. Okay, we've got to add your age to the date you had the dream, the number of letters in the subject. Would that be drowning or cauldron or Snape? It doesn't matter, pick any of them. What night did you dream this again? I don't know, last night, whenever you like. Now, you've been in this post how long, exactly? Nearly 16 years. Quite a period. So, it was Professor Dumbledore who appointed you? That's right. And you are a great-great-granddaughter of the celebrated seer Cassandra Trelawney? Yes. But I think, correct me if I am mistaken, that you are the first in your family since Cassandra to be possessed of second sight? These things often skip, 3 generations. Of course. Well, if you could just predict something for me, then. I don't understand you. I'd like you to make a prediction for me. The inner eye does not see upon command. I see. But, wait. I think I do see something. Something that concerns you. Why, I sense something dark, some grave peril. I am afraid that you are in grave danger. Right. Well, if that's really the best you can do. Well, let me see the start you've made on your dream diary, please. Wands away. As we finished Chapter 1 last lesson, I would like you all to turn to page 19 today and commence Chapter 2. Common defensive theories and their derivation. There will be no need to talk. What is it this time, Miss Granger? I've already read Chapter 2. Well then, proceed to Chapter 3. I've read that too. I've read the whole book. Well then, you should be able to tell me what Slinkard says about counterjinxes in Chapter 15. He says the counterjinxes are improperly named. He says counterjinx is just a name people give their jinxes when they want to make them sound more acceptable. But I disagree. You disagree? Yes, I do. Mr. Slinkard doesn't like jinxes, does he? But I think they can be very useful when they're used defensively. Oh, you do you? Well, I'm afraid it is Mr. Slinkard's opinion, and not yours, that matters within this classroom, Miss Granger. But that is enough. Miss Granger, I am going to take 5 points from Gryffindor House. What for? Don't you get involved. For disrupting my class with pointless interruptions. I am here to teach you, using a ministry-approved method that does not include inviting students to give their opinions on matters about which they understand very little. Your previous teachers in this subject may have allowed you more license, but as none of them, with the possible exception of Professor Quirrell, who did at least appear to have restricted himself to age-appropriate subjects, would have passed a ministry inspection. Yeah, Quirrell was a great teacher. There was just that minor drawback of him having Lord Voldemort sticking out of the back of his head. I think another week's detentions would do you some good. Miss Johnson, how dare you make such a racket in the Great Hall? 5 points from Gryffindor. But, Professor, he's gone and landed himself in detention again. What's this, Potter? Detention? From whom? From Professor Umbridge. Are you telling me, she said, after the warning I gave you last Monday, you lost your temper in Professor Umbridge's class again? Yes. Potter, you must get a grip on yourself. You are heading for serious trouble. Another 5 points from Gryffindor. But what? Professor, no. I'm already being punished by her. Why do you have to take points as well? Because detentions do not appear to have any effect on you whatsoever. No, not another word of complaint, Potter. And as for you, Miss Johnson, you will confine your shouting matches to the Quidditch pitch in future, or risk losing the team captaincy. She's taken points off Gryffindor because I'm having my hands sliced open every night. How is that fair? How? I know, mate. She's bang out of order. You think McGonagall was right, do you? I wish she hadn't taken points from you, but I think she's right to warn you not to lose your temper with Umbridge. Excellent. Let's see Umbridge get what she deserves. That will do. Mr. Finnegan, kindly come here and hand back the homework. Miss Brown, please take this box of mice. Don't be silly, girl, they won't hurt you. And hand one to each student. Hem! Right then, everyone, listen closely. Dean Thomas, if you do that to the mouse again, I shall put you in detention. Most of you have now successfully vanished your snails, and even those who were left with a certain amount of shell have the gist of the spell. Today we shall be... Yes? I was just wondering, Professor, whether you received my note telling you of the date and time of your Obviously I received it, or I would have asked you what you are doing in my classroom. As I was saying, today we shall be practicing the altogether more difficult vanishment of mice. Now, the vanishing spell... I wonder how you expect to gain an idea of my usual teaching methods if you continue to interrupt me. You see, I do not generally permit people to talk when I am talking. As I was saying, the vanishing spell becomes more difficult with the complexity of the animal to be vanished. The snail, as an invertebrate, does not present much of a challenge. The mouse, as a mammal, offers a much greater one. This is not therefore magic you can accomplish with your mind on your dinner. So, you know the incantation. Let me see what you can do. How how she can lecture me about not losing my temper with Umbridge. Well, it's a start. How long have you been teaching at Hogwarts? 39 years this December. Very well. You will receive the results of your inspection in 10 days' time. I can hardly wait. Hurry up, you three. You do not usually take this class, is that correct? Quite correct. I am a substitute teacher standing in for Professor Hagrid. I wonder. The headmaster seems strangely reluctant to give me any information on the matter. Can you tell me what is causing Professor Hagrid's very extended leave of absence? Afraid I can't. Don't know anything more about it than you do. Got an hour from Dumbledore. Would I like a couple of weeks' teaching work? Accepted. That's as much as I know. Well, shall I get started then? Yes, please do. Overall, how do you, as a temporary member of staff, an objective outsider, I suppose you might say, how do you find Hogwarts? Do you feel you receive enough support from the school management? Oh, yes. Dumbledore's excellent. No, I'm very happy with the way things are run. Very happy indeed. And what are you planning to cover with this class this year, assuming, of course, that Professor Hagrid does not return? Oh, I'll take them through the creatures that most often come up in OWL. Not much left to do. They've studied unicorns and nifflers. I thought we'd cover Porlocks and Measles. Make sure they can recognize Krups and Gnarls, you know. Well, you seem to know what you're doing at any rate. Now, I hear there have been injuries in this class. That was me. I was slashed by a hippogriff. A hippogriff? Only because he was too stupid to listen to what Hagrid told him to do. Another night's detention, I think. Thank you very much, Professor Grubbly-Plank. I think that's all I need here. You will be receiving the results of your inspection within 10 days. Jolly good. Here, soak your hand in that. It's a solution of strained and pickled murtlap tentacles. It should help. Thanks. I still reckon you should complain about this. No, McGonagall would go nuts if she knew. Yeah, she probably would. And how long do you reckon it'd take Umbridge to pass another decree saying anyone who complains about the High Inquisitor gets sacked immediately? She's an awful woman. Awful. You know, I was just saying to Ron when you came in, we've got to do something about her. I suggested poison. No, I mean something about what a dreadful teacher she is, and how we're not going to learn any defense from her at all. Well, what can we do about that? It's too late, isn't it? She's got the job. She's here to stay. Fudge will make sure of that. Well, you know, I was thinking today, that maybe the time's come when we should just do it ourselves. Do what ourselves? Well, learn defense against the dark arts ourselves. Come off it. You want us to do extra work? Do you realize Harry and I are behind on homework again, and it's only the second week? But this is much more important than homework. I didn't think there was anything in the universe more important than homework. So don't be silly. Of course there is. It's about preparing ourselves, like Harry said in Umbridge's first lesson, for what's waiting out there. It's about making sure we really can defend ourselves if we don't learn anything for a whole year. We can't do much by ourselves. I mean, all right, we can go and look jinxes up in the library and try and practice them, I suppose. No, I agree. We've gone past the stage where we can just learn things out of books. We need a teacher, a proper one who can show us how to use the spells and correct us if we're going wrong. If you're talking about Lupin... No, I'm not talking about Lupin. He's too busy with the Order, and anyway, the most we could see him is during Hogsmeade weekends, and that's not nearly often enough. Who then? Isn't it obvious? I'm talking about you, Harry. About me what? I'm talking about you, teaching us defense against the dark arts. That's an idea. What's an idea? You, teaching us to do it. But I'm not a teacher. I can't. Harry, you're the best in the year at defense against the dark arts. Me? No, I'm not. You've beaten me in every test. Actually, I haven't. You beat me in our 3rd year. The only year we both sat the test and had a teacher who actually knew the subject. But I'm not talking about test results, Harry. Look what you've done. How do you mean? You know what? I'm not sure I want someone this stupid teaching me. Let's think. First year, you saved the stone from you-know-who. But that was luck. That wasn't skill. 2nd year, you killed the basilisk and destroyed Riddle. Yeah, but if Fawkes hadn't turned up, 3rd year, you fought off about 100 Dementors at once. You know that was a fluke. If the Time Turner hadn't... Last year, Ron said almost, you fought off you-know-who again. Listen to me. Just listen to me, all right? It sounds great when you say it like that, but all that stuff was luck. I didn't know what I was doing half the time. I didn't plan any of it. I just did whatever I could think of. And I nearly always had help. Don't sit there grinning like you know better than I do. I was there, wasn't I? I know what went on, all right? And I didn't get through any of that because I was brilliant at defense against the dark arts. I got through it all because help came at the right time, or because I guessed right. But I just blundered through it all. I didn't have a clue what I was doing. Stop laughing. You don't know what it's like. Neither of you, you've never had to face him, have you? You think it's just memorizing a bunch of spells and throwing them at him like you're in class or something? The whole time, you're sure you know there's nothing between you and dying except your own brain or guts or whatever. Like you can think straight when you know you're about a second from being murdered or tortured or watching your friends die. They've never taught us that in their classes. What it's like to deal with things like that. And you two sit there acting like I'm a clever little boy to be standing here alive. Like Diggory was stupid, like he messed up. You just don't get it. That could just as easily have been me. It would have been if Voldemort hadn't needed me. We weren't saying anything like that, mate. We weren't having a go at Diggory. We didn't. You've got the wrong end of it. Don't you see? This is exactly why we need you. We need to know what it's really like, facing him, facing Voldemort. Well, think about it, please. Well, I'm off to bed. Night. Coming? Yeah. In a minute. I'll just clear this up. Reparo!